Good evening, everybody. It is January 8th, 2022. We are here in Miami, Florida, and we are going to be walking around for about 1 hour tonight. And we are going to be talking about wearables, the Apple wearable market. More specifically, the Apple Watch. We'll be talking about the potential implications for significant growth and expansion into their total addressable market into the healthcare sector. And we'll be discussing at what point do a lot of these wearable products become or should become FDA approved medical device products. We'll talk about that and more on the stream. Hey, Ken Kramer. What's going on, Ken Kramer? Soho guy is here. Felix is here. It says, hola, Felix. Sunshine after rain is here. The Ray says, hey, Tom, how's it going? It is going very well. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you're all having a great one. Dante Rose says, hey, Tom, stay safe. I hope you had a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Appreciate that, Dante. Otto says, hi, Tom. The Austin Tennis. This is a beautiful night tonight over there. Indeed it is. Hope everything is going well at PagerDuty, the Austin Tennis. So we'll get started. I just have to zip up my backpack. But the weather tonight is a 75 degrees. However, it is quite windy and we do not have the microphone yet. We should have it very soon. I just need to get an adapter and then we should be good. So we're going to be walking around Lincoln Road, which is a major tourist spot, tourist attraction here in Miami. Hey, the Austin Tennis says, I don't know how, if you feel the same way about Apple Watches as I do, but I don't feel like I should be any more attached to my phone than I already am. Yeah, the Austin Tennis, I think you make a good point, but I think what's so interesting now, and we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, is the Apple Watch now is becoming so advanced where I believe in the next generation Apple Watch, it'll actually be able to monitor people's glucose levels and their blood sugar levels. And I think this is going to be an amazing implication, not only to tech in general, but also healthcare. And I think one of the main things going forward is, okay, when do these technology products stop being pure play technology products? And when do they start being medical devices that need FDA approval? And that's a good question. I think we'll explore that tonight. And I apologize for the wind noise in advance. It is extremely windy here in Miami, Florida. We are having a big rainstorm coming in. And I actually tried to buy an adapter for the microphone, but the Apple store is closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Hey, this is Canada. It says, how is the COVID level? I think it is popping up across the United States in general. The Aviator 7 says, hey, Tom, remember how I told you about moving to Seattle? I finally made the move. Well, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm sure you're going to enjoy Seattle very, very much, and I'm happy for you. James Masadi says, I always stay at the Palm Royal Hotel. Prince Charming is here, says, hello, Tom. What's going on? Great Walk says, hey, Tom, super early today. Yeah, we are streaming a little bit earlier than normal on an extremely, extremely windy night in Miami. So if you look straight over here, this is actually the big Nike store, and there's a line wrapped around the entire block because there's increased COVID restrictions. So once the store is at 100% capacity, all of the tourists and anybody who wants to shop actually has to stand outside. Hey, Elizabeth is here, says hi, Tom. Karina Thompson is here. What's up, Karina Thompson? I see Prince Charming, Great Walk. JQG Atlas says 28 degrees here in New York City. Yeah, so New York City actually got a lot of snow, which is actually pretty cool. I made it out just in time and I missed all of the snow. But sometimes it's nice to see snow in New York every once in a while. The Austin Tennis says, Tom, what'd you do today? Did you catch up on your Investors Business Daily? I did. It was a very relaxing day today. I enjoyed it very, very much. Hey, Shop by Scott is here. True meaning of window shopping. So everybody, Shop by Scott is a very, very well-known photographer here in the Miami-Dade County area. Please check him out. Hey, Out and About is here. Says, is that Lincoln Road Mall? It is. Good to see you out and about. The Aviator says, so is it kind of hard to get used to the time distance, the time change? Yeah. That is the Aviator moving to Seattle. Very cool. Vinny Castellanos here says, good evening, Tom. And Super Friends in the City says, hello, Tom. Hello, Skater. What's going on? The Austin Tennis says, Tom, how many hours do you have for the 24-hour footage? So I actually just took down the 24-hour continuous live stream. I am beta testing it, but it should be back up later tonight. I had to take it down. I want to test a couple of things first. Hey, I see Sally here. What's going on, Sally? I think this is a fountain of soap or something. Karina Thompson, what's going on? Sabrina Fair, what is going on? Good to see you. Chill Beats to Chill says, I wanted to go to Miami this month, but COVID cases here in Argentina are increasing, even among the vaccinated. Hey, Buy the Book says, shorts and no jacket. Wow. Yeah, it is beautiful here. Hey, Melee is here. What's up, Melee? Yeah, look at all the people standing outside the Nike store here tonight. There are increased COVID restrictions. Hey, I see Santa Monica Rodriguez here. Cosmo Scary says, what's up, Wall Street Squad? What is up, Cosmo? Good to see you. Hope you're enjoying the snow in New York. It is a beautiful 75 degrees here in Miami. And I see Joe Hernandez. What's up, Joe? Good to see you. Joe Hernandez says it's 75 degrees here in Orlando, Florida. Yeah, it's about the same here in Miami. So everybody, this is the Apple store right here on Lincoln Road. And as we've been talking about a lot on the streams, due to the increased cases or the case counts of COVID, Apple has changed to an online pickup only. So if you see here, you have to order your products online, wait in line, and then you can go into the store and pick up your different products and services and things like that. And it will be closed until further notice, until the case counts can become a little bit under control. And I believe it is the same in New York City. So if you want to walk around the store, you are unable to unless you have an order already placed online. It is now 100% online pickup only. The Austin Tennis says, didn't you see the Apple store is closed? So originally it was supposed to be closed, but I believe there was a little bit of backlash from the community and from consumers. So they changed to 100% pickup only. Hey, Michelle McGraw says, hello, Tom and everybody. What's up, Michelle? Good to see you. Hope you're well. So tomorrow we're supposed to have extreme heavy rain here in Miami. Hey, Ruby Falcone says, good evening all. Hope you enjoyed the run, both of us this morning. Yeah, Ruby, I was running to the beach today. I went to Sunny Isles. And then I continued to do some work. But I did do some extra miles for you, Ruby. Hope you're feeling better. The Aviator says, I never go to the Apple store. I usually get my Apple accessories at Target. Well, that's a very good way to go around it. Very good. Michelle McGraw says, looks nice and warm there. It is. It's about 75 degrees. Gigi NYC is joining the chat. Says, good evening, Tom and everybody. What's up, Gigi? Yeah, Shot by Scott says, monsoon coming. Well, it's supposed to rain starting at midnight and continuing all throughout the entire weekend. Good to see you, Karina Thompson. Anne says hi from Manchester, UK. Welcome everybody from the UK. Take Me to the Sea says every time a virus mutates, it gets weaker. Government is just blowing more smoke. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what a lot of people, a view that a lot of people hold for sure. So there is definitely a lot of room for debate there. Helen, what's going on, Helen? Will P is here, says hi, Tom, hope you are well. Ray's Willie Show says hello from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Beautiful place. Everybody's been telling me I have to take a visit to Fort Lauderdale. I haven't yet, but I will 100% do that in the future. Jonathan Richards is joining us, says, good evening, Tom. Good evening. Helen is here. What's up, everybody? So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, just briefly, because it's only going to be about an hour-long stream. I was reading an interesting piece of research that says one of the fastest growing markets is actually the wearables market. And a lot of the times on the channel, we like to analyze data and we like to look for markets that are growing, right? So if we can identify companies that are growing their TAM, or total addressable market, these tend to be companies that could potentially be made for good investment. So for example, if we look at Apple, one of the big pushes they've been making over the course of the past couple years is big investments into the wearables market, or the Apple Watch. And I think one of the biggest use cases, or the most notable use cases that could really grow the total addressable market for Apple, is the healthcare utilization for Apple Watches. You know, and I have a little bit of a background in healthcare tech. I worked in tech sales for a very, very long time, and still do, where I would sell, you know, EVV tools, or electronic visit verification, as well as remote patient monitoring tools. And if we think about the Apple Watch, I believe the next generation Apple Watch will be able to identify consumers' blood sugar and glucose levels. So it's almost like you have an all-in-one remote patient monitoring device directly on your wrist. But one of the main concerns has to do with the FDA, because at what point do these technology companies actually turn into pure play medical device companies that need to seek FDA approval for their products and services? Pretty interesting to think about. Hey, Exploration is here. What's up, Exploration? Good to see you. Hope you're well. Shop by Scott says, I'm growing my wearable art market. Yeah, I guess that could be inclusive of NFTs and the like. I don't think I've ever seen it this busy here at Lincoln Road before. Seems a lot more people are returning to outdoor activities. Hey, Jamie says, would you recommend a career in data science or finance? So I think there's more upside and more opportunity to go into data science in many different industries, right? And what we talk about a lot on the channel is, I believe over the next 5 to 10 years, the companies who will be able to garner the most data will be the most successful. And we talked about this with Tesla, with their autonomous vehicles. You know, just think about how many miles of data Tesla has on all of their consumers. Many, many more than like GM or Toyota, or really any of them. Hey, Road Dog 41 says, hey Tom, do you think it's time to run from stocks? Well, we definitely had a big sell-off last week. And I think it's mainly due to interest rates. You know, we saw that 10-year yield creep up to about 1.75%, which is the highest rate on the US 10-year Treasury yield we've had since March of 2021. So I think a lot of these tech stocks are very rate sensitive, and we'll have to see how it plays out over the next coming weeks. NYC Rich says, hey, what's up, bro? What's up, NYC Rich? Good to see you. Let me catch up on some of the chat. Marie O says, hello, Tom and chat. What is going on, Marie? Isabel S says, hello from Toronto, new and just subscribed. Well, Isabel S, it is a pleasure to have you here. We usually go live about 5 days a week between New York City and Miami. The channel. The Austin Tennis says, if they need to seek FDA approval, I worry about the cost of these products. Yeah, I think you're right. So there's an interesting article in Investors Business Daily this weekend that actually talks about a lot of these startup companies that are getting into wearables. One of which, I'm trying to think of the name. Let me see if it comes to my mind. But I believe they specialize in making smart socks. Yes, socks that you could wear, and it can identify swelling for people who have diabetes. And their product actually had to be pulled off the market because the FDA said you cannot sell medical devices that were not approved. Yes, Chris, you're 100% right. It says Owlet got hit by a warning by the FDA for their baby socks. So I agree, getting not taken down by FDA, going to slow down the pace for the tech. Yeah, Chris, you're 100% right, and that is actually the company I was trying to think of. So thank you for that. Chris, you're spot on. Good to see you, Chris. NYC Rich says, looks amazing over there. Yeah, this is definitely the one of the main, probably one of the busiest I've ever seen it here so far. JM says, do you think the interest rate hikes are fully priced in, or is there further down to go? So JM, I think that the market is actively pricing in interest rate hikes. So I'm actually getting very, very excited. So in times like these, especially when high beta growth stocks are in an extreme downtrend, the number one thing that we should be looking to do is identify those companies that are getting really, really beaten down the hardest, but also have the most sustainable earnings trajectory. So if we look on an EPS basis or earnings per share basis, we want to look at the companies that are consistently compounding out their annualized growth rate at least 25% per annum. And these are the stocks that we want to buy once we see multiple compression complete. So what's happening right now is during low interest rate environments, a lot of these tech stocks will go through what's called a multiple expansion, where their PE ratios expand to ridiculously high levels. However, when the market anticipates a rising interest rate environment, a lot of these stocks have to be re-rated and their multiples will come down. And one of the reasons for that is because a lot of these tech companies, most of their earnings are actually priced into the future. So when interest rates are low, their future earnings are worth more now. But when interest rates are going to go up, those future earnings are worth less right now. Hey, Fernando Super Friends is here. What's up, Fernando? I was checking out your stream in Central Park. It looked amazing. I don't think I've ever been over here on the stream. I'll give you guys a view of all the palm trees here. Road Dog 41 says 10% of 20 bucks is nothing compared to 100 bucks. Isabel S says our restaurants are closed here. Is that due to the virus, I'm assuming? Ramos says, welcome, how are you? A2Z for me says even the servers are maskless. Jamie says Apple Watches are more than capable of detecting many more heart arrhythmia already other than atrial fib, but something is holding them back from releasing it. Yeah, so Jamie, I think you're 100% spot on. So in one of the articles and in one of the pieces of research that I was reading just recently, they said just that. They said the Apple Watch is actually linked to saving people's lives from being able to identify an irregular heartbeat way faster than any other doctor could. Because let's say if you go to the doctor and you do an EKG, not all the time the EKGs and things like that can pick up on an irregular heartbeat. So if you're wearing the Apple Watch all the time, you know, it actually does have the capability to pick up on some of those things that you talked about. And I think that's really what's going to give Apple a big runway going over the next couple of years to potentially break into a pure play healthcare company. Possibly really interesting. Michelle McGraw, good to see you. Isabel S says yes, virus until the end of January, but the lockdowns could be extended. Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate that some countries are going into lockdown again. Isabel S is so nice to see all this life in Miami. Says it's even cold in Oklahoma where I'm from. I wonder if there's any snow in Oklahoma right now. Yeah, Jamie the Rooster says the real problem there will be that people will in effect be responsible for their own emergency health, and do they really want that? I'm not too sure about that, but I think that as technology grows and as the capability of these wearables grow, I think a lot of the technological advancements may possibly be hindered by FDA approvals and things like that. So there's a lot of litigation that's been going back and forth because there's a big debate about at what point do these technology companies are actually considered medical device companies because they're so advanced. So it should be interesting to see what's going on. Hey, Jamie Massetti says, thanks for the stream. I spent a lot of time on Lincoln Road. Very cool. Hey, Andrews here says, hi, Walks and Wall Street. Beautiful evening. Welcome. A2Z for me says, just wear a freaking mask correctly, exclamation point. Roy S is here. Good to see you, Roy S. Sammy Bazzi says, beautiful nightlife, back to normal again. What's up, Sammy? Optimus Prime is here, says hello. Michelle McGraw says it was 12 degrees when I woke up this morning. Yikes. Buy the Book says that's amazing that Apple Watch is a real game changer for the medical realm. I agree. So one of the things I was speculating, you know, as I'm trying to come up with some creative ideas here, you know, just think 5 to 10 years down the road when everybody is wearing an Apple Watch. They're getting their glucose monitored, they're getting their pulse ox, their heart rates monitored, blood pressure, you name it. Everything is being monitored on an Apple Watch. Could you imagine, and let's just explore the possibility that down the line, you know, you can walk into an Apple store and in some of the flagship Apple stores, let's just say in the back, it's called something like Apple Health, where there's actually registered nurses and doctors on staff and on hand, where you could just plug in your Apple Watch, upload all of your medical data, and you could actually receive healthcare right from an Apple store. Imagine if that could be a possibility. And I think, you know, knowing Apple, I think it's a real possibility that that may happen. You know, because just think about, you know, you going to a primary care physician right now and how much time you waste in the first few minutes of going to your doctor's visit, you know, telling them all of your information, telling them all your history, they have to take your blood pressure. But just imagine if you could walk into that doctor's office, throw your Apple Watch on a computer and have all of your medical records from the past 12 months since you've been wearing that watch automatically uploaded into their RPM system or their electronic medical record system, and they automatically have all of your data over a long period of time. I think that could be a real game changer. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Hey, Aaron Prill, how are you? Good to see you. We are walking Lincoln Road tonight. SG says, hello from Baltimore, 26 degrees here. We're all jealous, wish we were there. Thank you for streaming. Yeah, 26 degrees is definitely cold, but 26 is not too bad. When I was in New York, it was right about 26 degrees, give or take. But good to see you. Hope you're having a great weekend so far. Gigi NYC is here. How are you, Gigi? Hope your weekend is off to a great start. This week was definitely hectic, at least for me. Jared Covey says, I've been seeing ads on local TV for the Dexcom G6 glucose monitor. Wearables getting more mainstream. Yeah, so Jared, back 2 years ago, Dexcom, ticker symbol DXCM, was actually one of my biggest winners and really helped me. That and Atlassian were two of my biggest winners back in the day. So Dexcom has, exactly like you said, really helps with diabetes, and I think is a great company. So I never saw their advertisements on TV, but I'm definitely gonna have to look for them. I'll keep my eye out for sure. A2Z for me says, I have a Series 7 iWatch, but do not use the medical/workout app. So A2Z for me, I believe Apple came out with actually a subscription service, didn't they? So isn't there a subscription service where it's called like Apple Health Plus or something like that? Hey, British Gray is here. Says, good Saturday evening, Tom. Good Saturday evening to you too, British Gray. Yeah, Jamie the Rooster says, what happens if everybody monitoring their own health leads to an era of paranoia? Well, I think that as technology advances, you're going to have a lot less false flags. Because right now, you know, and even a couple of years ago, there was a lot of false flag events. So I think you make a good point there, where you could have some false positives or something like that. So what we'll do is we'll take one more lap around Lincoln Road down the other side at all the stores that we didn't see. And then we will try to walk to South Beach as we get coursed by these guys
have Bibles at home. They don't
talking
even read
about
it.
Jesus.
When was the last time you opened up a Bible, man? When was the last time you opened up the Bible?
Yesterday. Yep, there we go. Hey, Julian says, hey, Tom. How was your PJ ride down? My bus ride? The bus ride was pretty good. Good to see you, Julian. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Sammy says, finally it snowed in New York yesterday, and it's very cold, 27, going down to 24. You are saved from the cold weather. Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of cold weather, but it always looks nice the first couple snowfalls in New York City. It always looks beautiful. MKC Update says, walking Wall Street. What do you prefer, Miami downtown or New York in Midtown? I am from Indonesia. Hey, welcome everybody from Indonesia. Thank you for watching. Well, I think I prefer New York in the spring and in the summer, but in the winter months, I tend to prefer Miami a little bit better. Yeah, shot by Scott. This is private jet life. Funny. Hey, the Swan is here. Says, hi, Tom. Hi, all. The Swan is joining us from Ireland. Good to see you, the Swan. Otto says, I can see insurance companies giving discounts on life insurance premiums if clients can show their watch exercise logs. You know, Otto, that is an absolutely fantastic point. So there's actually some companies doing that now. I remember at my last tech company, if you just gave some data or information about how much you exercise, I think they actually gave you more money. I'm trying to think about how that worked. And they also give you discounts on your insurance if you check the box that you're a non-smoker. So perhaps there'll be more discounts and more subsidies if you can prove that you're doing, you know, calisthenics, if you're going for a run or something like that on one of your wearables. So I think you're 100% right on that. And I think they should, because I think that would create an incentivized environment for people to actually get more fit and healthy. So I think that's a good idea. Hey, San Miguel is here, says hello. What's up, San Miguel? Good to see you. Hope you're well, San Miguel. Shop by Scott says your finesse on these chats is next level. What's up, Scott? Scott, so I was talking to you briefly on, I believe James and Carla are driving all the way from New York City down to Southern Florida. That must be an incredible drive. You pretty much get to see the entire East Coast of the United States. Pretty cool. Hey, Joseph is here. Revis is here. Says hello, Tom. Everyone looks like they're dressed for summer. Yeah, so Revis, it's about 75 degrees today here in Miami, but it is a windy night. And we are going to have an intense rainstorm come in over the next couple hours here. San Miguel says, oh my God, Saturday night in Miami. Cynthia Martinez is here and Bowser is here, says hi. Optimus Prime says, Tom, are you buying the dip? So I think we're getting very, very close to a bottom in growth stocks. And once we see a lot of these major growth stocks start to form very sound bases and price action starts to go sideways, I think you're going to see a big markup in these growth names. But it's never a good idea to catch a falling knife. So what I like to look for is a little bit of dry up in volume. So if you're still having thunderous volume every day and these growth stocks are selling off, that probably means the selling is not over yet. So what you want to do is you want to look for a very tame price action and then size into the names that have the best fundamentals. W. Gator says hello from Belgium. Welcome everybody from Belgium. Good to see you. The Swan says that is fabulous view of the bar and buffet back there. Deep Value Tom Lee. Hey, Deep Value Tom Lee. Love Tom Lee. We were actually just talking about an amazing interview that Tom Lee did the other day. So Deep Value Tom Lee says, what's up, Tom? Where in Miami are we tonight? So this is Lincoln Road Mall. So this is like the outdoor mall and entertainment venue here in, well, very close to South Beach. But we will be doing one lap around Lincoln Road and then we will be going to the main South Beach today. Kevin Lee says, good evening. It is 6:57 p.m. here at Atlantic Avenue, Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Welcome. And I'm seeing a lot of viewers from Russia. Welcome everybody from Russia. Good to see you. Ruby Falcone says the violin sounds amazing. I agree, Ruby. Beijing Charlie says pitch a stock to a stranger. Julian says, is this Brickell? So this is not Brickell. We were in Brickell 2 days ago. But this is Lincoln Road Mall. Very close to South Beach. Very close to South Beach. A lot of outdoor dining. Seems to be a lot of good restaurants, steakhouses. Hi, Revis, good to see you. Hope you're having a good Saturday. Rock Band 5 Million says go to Bal Harbor one night. You know, I think we will do that, Rock Band. Bal Harbor is amazing. I actually took the bus through Bal Harbor tonight, and it was great. Hey, NYC Cherry Groove is here. It says please subscribe, like, and share. Cherry Groove, how are you holding up in the snow there in New York? It looks beautiful. NNB 045 says, hi Tom, I'm late. What happened to your skating stream? So everybody, the 24-hour skating stream will be back up. I'm just beta testing it for now. Came in a lot better than expected, in my opinion, but I think we are going to migrate from Oracle Cloud to a different cloud server. So just stay up to date. We may start the stream up again tonight, but just on a different cloud service. YTZXW says it's 24/7 recorded. Yeah, so the 24/7 skateboard stream is a 6-hour loop of continuous skateboarding throughout New York City, and it will be up again, don't worry. Good to see you, Beijing Charlie. Reva says the sidewalks look really clean in Miami. Carolina Tom says great area of Miami, Tom. I can't wait to get down there. Yeah, let me know if you're in the area, Carolina Tom. It is beautiful down here, and I think there's a lot of tourists. So this time of year in Miami, for those of you who don't know, a lot of people from the Northeast start to migrate down to southern Florida, and I believe they are called snowbirds. So these are some of my favorite palm trees I always like looking at. Durman says, when are you going back to New York City? So I have a couple of big meetings lined up the last week of January. So I may have to go back to New York City the last week of January, but I'm trying to reschedule those meetings for mid-February. I really don't want to go back to New York City so soon. So it's either going to be the last week of January, but we are trying to actively reschedule those meetings to a later date. Hey, Carol H says, hi there, love the palm trees on Lincoln Road. Good to see you, Carol H. The Austin Tennis says, I still have to try the Tom Special, cold brew with half and half and carrot cake. You have to. So the Austin Tennis, that I believe that coffee shop was called Black Fox Coffee, right next to the Deutsche Bank in Lower Manhattan. Hey, I see Marty Lewis here. What's up, Marty Lewis? Good to see you. Estelle says, hey, how you doing, Tom? Miami looks amazing. Ooh, look at this dog. That's awesome. So Estelle is joining us from Australia. Andre, what's up, Andre? Marty Lewis is here. A2Z for me says, looks like snow on the palm trees. Carol H, good to see you. The Swan, good to see you. Savi says, good night, Tom, and everybody. Beautiful place here. Wee Live says, bonjour. Bonjour to you as well. Luke Williams says, hi, Tom. I think a stream in Fort Lauderdale would be pretty cool if you ever get a chance. Shouldn't be too far of a drive for you, and I think you would like the area. Yeah, we're definitely going to check out Fort Lauderdale 100%. I think Fort Lauderdale as well as Key West are some of the main two places that a lot of people have been requesting me to check out. Al J says, thank you for taking us to Lincoln Road. Well, thank you for being here, Al J. Rick is here, says, I live in Jacksonville, but I will be moving to FT or Fort Myers, so I'll be closer to Miami. What's up, Rick? Yeah, so Jacksonville, Florida actually has a lot of up-and-coming tech jobs, but Fort Myers is supposed to be really beautiful as well. So I wish you the best of luck on your move. Fashion says Fort Lauderdale is so cute. Interesting. Jamie Massetti says Key West is so cool. CB Earth Day says good evening, Tom. Good evening, CB Earth Day. Everybody, we have South Beach Trader in the chat. Good to see you, South Beach Trader. Alan Wilson says good evening, everybody. Another early start tonight. Good to see you, Alan Wilson. So Alan, for the topic for tonight, we were talking about the wearables market, more specifically the Apple Watch in their implications to healthcare. And I think over the next couple of years, we are actually going to see a department of Apple turn into a pure play remote patient monitoring sort of business. And I think the next generation Apple Watch will be able to detect glucose levels in people, which should really help out those who suffer from diabetes and things like that. Michelle McGraw says, my daughter is in St. Augustine. So Michelle, there's a lot of Wall Street hedge funds and private equity firms that are moving to St. Augustine now. I really like the outdoor dining setup here. It really reminds me of New York City a little bit. David says, Miami is beautiful but very loud. You're right, it is very loud. Shot by Scott says, Miami will soon be the crypto capital of the world. Very exciting times. Yeah, I mean, Scott, I think you may be right, because the mayor of Miami seems to be very pro-business and pro-entrepreneurship and pro-cryptocurrencies too. So we'll see how that plays out. The Swan says, more people, more noise. Well, everybody, I think since it's January, I think this is the main tourist time of year for Miami, Florida, because everybody's coming from the snow to hang out in the nice weather. Michelle McGraw says, wow, that's interesting. She moved there in January. Yeah, so some of my buddies who are analysts at major hedge funds, they opened up satellite offices in St. Augustine, Florida. So you're going to see a lot of finance bros invading Southern Florida. I'm not sure how good or bad that is, but it is true. Hey, Sally says, beautiful view, Tom. Nice. What's up, Sally? I was talking to you earlier today. David says, how are you dealing with the bugs? So it's surprising. So David, a lot of people were talking to me about that, but I've never encountered any bugs as of late. And I think the reason for that is because it's winter here. I think the majority of the bugs come out during the summer months. Jimmy Vasquez says, yeah, the snowbirds start to invade Florida. Kerry says, I recently left my job and rolled my 401k into an IRA. I'm starting a new job Monday that has a 401k match benefit. Do I participate in the company's 401k, or should I roll over and add the funds to the IRA? Well, by and large, you should always contribute to your company's 401k. But it really just, by and large, for the vast majority of people, you probably should. Mainly because a lot of the companies give what's called a match. So whatever you put in, sometimes the employers will match up to either 4 or 7% of what you put in, which is good, which is essentially free money. But the one thing I will say that you have to worry about with 401ks, you really have to make sure you're not paying any egregious fees, because the vast majority of people have no idea what investments are in their 401ks. So you really got to sit down, spend a weekend, and really understand what your investments are, because the last thing you want to do is enter a 401k plan where you're paying 3% fees for really no reason. So that's really the only advice I would say. Hey, Cat B says, it's so nice to see so many people out there enjoying themselves. Just wish I was there too. Good to see you, Cat B. Hey, Joey's here, says hi, Tom. What's up, Joey? Hope you're enjoying your weekend, Joey. Have a good Saturday. Out and about to show the stores and restaurants. We're gonna walk back the other way. I'll show you guys all of the stores there. David says, do you think investing in gold or precious metals is a good way to shield against uncertainty? So I think there's a lot of debate in regards to precious metals. And I'll give you my take, and there's a lot of different takes on this. So if you talk to somebody like a Warren Buffett, you know, he will tell you all day, every day, that he would never even think about investing in gold, because what he wants to do is he wants to buy income. So he wants to buy a business that will be profitable and generate cash flows, in which case the business uses those cash flows to reinvest into their business via research and development, or distribute those cash flows to investors in the form of share buybacks or dividends. So what he'll say about gold, he's like, why would I buy gold when it's just a metal? It sits there, it doesn't produce anything. I would rather buy shares in a company that produces cash flows, that makes products and services. And to which case I kind of understand that, right? I think I'm sort of on the same page as Warren Buffett, but I think if we look at the big picture and understand that we are living in a debt-based society where the Federal Reserve is printing money like crazy, it's good to hold anti-debt units. And gold and silver are anti-debt units. So that's what I would say about gold and silver. Sam Alexander says, I miss your New York City walks. Thank you, Sam. Josie says, can you invest in silver? Yeah, I mean, you could really invest in anything, but I think if we think about, you know, the expanding debt, I think it's always a good idea to hold an anti-debt unit. And I think an anti-debt unit would also include Bitcoin as well, even though that is a very controversial topic. Road Dog says, if they can't live up to the 7% every year, watch your 401k, says Road Dog 41. Reba says, do you feel like you're at a big party walking through Florida? Well, I think it's a little bit of a culture change from New York, because New York is definitely more locked down than, let's say, parts of Florida. This place looks kind of cool for art. These things are kind of cool. You know what? I think I would get one if there was a mighty bull. Hey, W Gators says, nice walk. I plan a trip to Florida in February. Winter in Belgium is too boring. I need the sun. Well, come on down. John L says, big market change lately out of growth stocks into low PE and dividends. Yeah, John, you're right. So we were just talking about that as being multiple compression. So a lot of these PE ratios are compressing, and I think the market is pricing in interest rates. You know, we'll see if we can go in here without getting kicked out, if we can film. Let's see. Deborah S, copy that. Hey, Talvish is here. What's up, Talvish? Good to see you. So these paintings range from $22,000 anywhere, yeah, and up. So 22,000 and up from what I'm seeing. Alex says, do you work for a company or have your own business? So I consult with a lot of companies, but I am trying to get my technology consulting business off the ground here. I love the colors on a lot of these. The colors are amazing here. Beautiful. The Austin Tennis says, those are art pieces I'd imagine Tom has at home. No way. What do you guys think of this one? I think this is Alec, I believe. This is his art here. Zero tolerance is a bargain compared to Hunter Biden's artwork. Jeez, funny. Yeah, these are definitely beautiful pieces. I mean, all of them are amazing. What do you guys think about the seven dwarves here? That's funny. British Grace is really beautiful. Yeah, these are amazing. Oh, look at the Last Supper here. Cynthia Beals is nice, but not worth the price tag. Yeah, I think art is very subjective. Well, this is cool. I mean, in New York City, if you ever film in any art places, they run and kick you out. Sorry, everybody, if the stream goes in and out, I'm going to be getting hammered with phone calls for about the next 10 minutes. So just feel free to ignore the stream buffering. Hey, Cubis says, hey, Tom, I thought that was Richie Rich on that one painting. I think it was, but I believe the artist is called Alec Monopoly. Optimus Prime says, Salvatore Mundi sold for $450 million. Wow. Check out this one, guys, that big wave there. Well, this particular art gallery definitely has a Miami feel due to all the vibrant colors. British Grace says, Tom, ask the clerk, do they do layaway? I want to purchase a piece of art. Rhodey says, hello, Tom. Hope you had a blessed and positive year and blessed and positive energy. Thank you so much. Hey, I see Sunshine New York here. What's up, Sunshine New York? Good to see you, Sunshine. Sunshine, we got to get you down to Miami, Florida for a visit. So I always like art that include newspapers. Very beautiful. Charlie Richardson says, beautiful artwork. If you guys are enjoying the artwork, feel free to hit the like button for the beautiful art here. So this particular piece right here is $22,000. And this particular piece right here is $42,550. $42,000. Would you guys pay $42,000 for this? Perhaps. Yeah, GGNYC says, wow, too much. So I'll give you guys one more look at what the place looks like, and then we will head out. Hey, Pretty Funky is here, says it's funky, but that's too much. Checkers X is inflation. Good to see you, Gigi. And yeah, Michelle McGraw says, oh my gosh, I know. Isn't that crazy? Alex is, what do you like about being self-employed versus working in a company? And did you pay increase from working on my own? So the pay definitely decreased from working on my own, but at least the business was profitable last year. So we were profitable. I mean, if you're trying to start like a legitimate business, like with, you know, actual clients and revenue and have revenues and things like that, it's tough, man. All right, so we will walk straight up Lincoln Road and then we will go to South Beach. Charlie, expensive, but the right buyer would be willing to pay the price for those pieces. 100%, absolutely. Scott Briggs is here, says I don't have the gelt for this art. How are you? Rick says I heard renting a Ferrari there is good and driving around the beach. Yeah, I'm not a big car guy, but a lot of people definitely do. Yeah, Deborah S is luckily live streaming the store. Yeah, Optimus Prime says it's definitely packed full of crowds. Yeah, Gigi NYC says that one painting could be a down payment on a house. Crazy. Ireva says you should make a paint. Hello. Oh hey, what's up? Jeez, Maronna mia. Ireva says you should make or paint a guy on the skateboard. Put a high price tag on it. Yeah, or maybe we will take the original skateboard and auction it off. The original Wall Street Skate Bros skateboard and auction it off one day. That's a good idea, Ireva. Donnie Van says this art is beautiful, so fun, great price point. Kim Toy says yeah, it's way too much. Otto says most of these are from Romero Breton, a famous Brazilian artist. Sammy Pay says, what is your business? IT consulting services? Yes. So essentially what I'll do is I'll go into companies and best advise them on how to implement different software products and things like that. So for example, you know, we just did a big deal implementing a customer's SD-WAN, which is a software-defined wide area network. And a lot of the customers I have were some of my older customers from when I was a major account executive at my last job that I held at a tech company. So it's always good to keep those relationships with you. So I would say like a lot of managed services, consultancy, and then also being a value-added reseller by reselling different cybersecurity products or MDM products. Out and about says you just passed by the cafe. So everybody, how does the quality of the stream look tonight? I did a couple different things. I'm beta testing some changes. So is the quality, because I'm testing some things out. Sunshine New York says last time I walked through here, I was pretty tipsy, but it was an awesome time. Yeah, it's definitely beautiful down here. Dutchman says looks awesome. QBiz says looks great. John says I signed up for T-Mobile 5G home internet. Otto, we are using Prism. Excuse the wind. Ooh, we got a skateboarder here. Yeah, Karina says I jumped out of my seat. I think this is another art gallery here. The Austin tennis says, Tom, show him how it's done. I think he's probably a lot better than me. Hey, somebody from Russia says, I love this song. It's so cool. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Charlie Richardson says, is there an API to cloud providers that give you 24/7 streams to YouTube? So if you want a free cloud service, if you go to Oracle's website, you could actually sign up for Oracle Cloud for free. A lot of people don't know that, but you're able to get free cloud service from Oracle Cloud. But I think all the others you have to pay for. Gary Ting says, did all the New York streamers travel to New York? Yeah, I travel to New York quite often. Hey, Seth Wolf says, are you able to walk down the other side? Just curious. Sure, we can walk down the other side. Hey, Quants is here. What's up, Quants? Good to see you. Cynthia Martinez, good to see you as well. Cynthia is joining us right here in Miami. Optimus Prime says AWS is the best. Yeah, so I'm thinking about, one of my good friends works at Microsoft, so I may be able to access their Azure cloud platform for free. So everybody, based upon the topic of tonight's stream, oh, real quick, so I bought a bunch, you see these bushes right here? I just bought a bunch of these and I'm gonna plant them outside my house to make a little bit of a wall. So everybody, and so a lot of the times when we have different topics of conversation on the stream, sometimes I could feel like I'm talking at you guys. So I really want to be able to get as many of you involved in the conversation as possible because I want to learn myself. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's possible, knowing all of the different new emerging technologies from Apple, if their Apple Watch is going to be able to read glucose, monitor glucose, you know, heart rate monitoring, blood pressure, all of that stuff? Do you think that Apple will at one point make an entire medical segment of their business? Do you think it'll be called Apple Healthcare? And do you think that in some of their Apple stores, they'll actually have physical doctors and registered nurses on site where you can go in the Apple store and actually, you know, throw your Apple Watch down on some sort of a magnetic strip, and the doctors will automatically be able to upload all of your medical records and your remote patient monitoring information and actually provide you with on-site medical care? Do you think that's possible for Apple, or do you guys think that they probably wouldn't want to go down that route? Because I think it's a big possibility to grow their total addressable market. Yeah, Andre, good point. Apple recently just crossed a $3 trillion The Austin tennis is 100%. San Miguel says they could, but Apple would face liability issues. Interesting. Road Dog says, I think this tech already exists. Yeah, so the remote patient monitoring does already exist, but I think the question is, will the industry of providing on-site medical care just because they collect so much medical data to begin with? I think that'd be an interesting idea. GGMYC says, sounds like a good idea, but that is stretching things too much. They will try, but doubt it. Too many cons. Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe they could run into a lot of negativity and bottlenecks with FDA approvals. Jay Gator says they could partner with somebody. John L says Google headed the same way and they bought Fitbit recently. They did. You're right, they actually just recently bought Fitbit. Buy the books as if they're smart. Let me see what Buy the Book said. I see themselves developing a system for early access to medical info. Gary Ting says if Apple does it, they will outsource the medical service so they are not liable. Yeah, San Miguel, good thought there. Sammy Payne says, no, Tom, Apple will provide the data, but not the healthcare services. Interesting. Yeah, because Sammy, I mean, to your point, think about all of the data, all of the medical data that Apple is going to collect over the next couple of years. It's going to be really, really scary. You know, let's just say if 1/3 of the population is wearing an Apple Watch and they're monitoring your heartbeat, they're monitoring your pulse ox, your blood oxygen. Imagine all of the things they could do with that data. CB Man says, could be possible for Fitbit. A wellness device has received a $510K for the Fitbit as a medical device. Yeah. How they're really trying to make that push too, but I think Apple is well far ahead of everybody. Does anybody here have a Fitbit? Is it a good product? What do you guys think? Cynthia Martinez says Fitbit over Garmin. Road Dog 41 says Apple will then turn around and sell your medical information to Teladoc. San Miguel says the collection of health data is one thing, then use that data and treatment based on that. It's a conundrum. Well, they definitely have enough information to fund research and development for many, many years to come. Robert 714 says, then imagine all the medical companies they'll be selling it to. Well, do you think that if Apple turns around and sells your medical information to other companies, isn't that a violation of HIPAA? Or would that not be a violation of HIPAA? I mean, you have to be really, really careful with proprietary medical information. But I'm not sure that would be a HIPAA violation. Does anybody know if that would be a HIPAA violation? Hey, Cosmo is here. What's up, Cosmo? Steve Buffalo says the Apple Watch is more accurate than the Fitbit. Joey says, Tom, did you set up your Apple Watch? I don't have an Apple Watch, but I'm thinking about it. Now that we've been talking about it so much, I'm thinking about it. Cat B says no, because they will probably put it in their terms and conditions, and without knowing you'll sign it. That's a good point, but I'm not sure it quite works that way. I think with medical information, it's a little bit more proprietary. Hey, Roy S is here. What's up, Roy? Good to see you, Roy S. So HIPAA, it only, if you sign your rights away, then it doesn't matter. So maybe, you know, if you use the Apple Watch, you give up all your privacy rights. It's possible. Vela says, do you have time to hang out with your friends? Yeah, I'm hanging out with you guys right now. Zero Tolerance is Google Cyber Coder Care. Yeah, A to Z for me says sounds pretty messy. So profitability will be unknown. Steve Buffalo says only weakness of Apple Watch is the battery life. So how long is the battery life? I actually have no idea on the Apple Watch. Optimus Prime says, we are your friends, Tom. Absolutely. You guys, we're all friends here. Cosmo says, you making any big deals in the new year so far, Tom? So Cosmo, I'm thinking about, well, there's more to come on that, but I'm thinking about making a second business arm or a second business segment to my business this year that specializes in software sales. So I think that we have the tools, and some of my friends and I, we have the tools and experience for working 5+ years in technology sales to understand what characteristics make up the best sales reps. So we're thinking about starting a very niche recruiting firm that specializes in placing top talent to the top software companies, as well as cryptocurrency talent as well. So I'm looking forward to that this year. We're going to try to get that business segment off the ground. Ooh, San Miguel, you're right. Says not to mention, Tom, how that data would be chased by the insurance companies. Yeah, I mean, I think you can, I think somebody else earlier in the stream was briefly mentioning how insurance companies could give you a break on your premium if you could somehow prove that you're doing physical activity throughout the day. Zero Tolerance says, this is South Beach, Miami, Florida. So is this considered South Beach? Is Lincoln Road considered South Beach? I don't even know. Lost in the Curve says, long story short, it won't work. Lay off the sodas and exercise. Live till 100s is Lost in the Curve. Lupe. What's up, Lupe? Good to see you. Joseph says, your medical records are already out there. Relax. Every time I go to the doctor, I end up filling out insurance, home insurance, etc. You make a good point there, Joe, actually. I mean, to Joe's point, I mean, what personal information isn't already out there right now? Luke Williams says Lincoln Road is in the heart of South Beach. Thank you for that, Luke. Yeah, I'm still getting accustomed to Miami. I just moved here, so I'm not too familiar with all the geography. Deborah S says, Maya, it sounds like those employment firms. You think your employer is Marriott, but really Workforce Z, ? Yeah, I mean, I think so I think more along the lines of what we're trying to do is use our experience in software sales and in tech sales to identify what would be the ideal candidates for jobs. Right, so there's a lot of recruiting companies out there that just hire random recruiters that haven't worked in the industry. Right, so think about all of the major recruiting companies out there right now that try to place people in jobs. A lot of these people are recruiting for investment banking, software sales, software engineering, when these people have never even worked in software engineering in their life. So they don't know the skills to look for. You know, we do. So if we can open up a very niche consulting company and place people in software roles, we know what to look for. So I think that is sort of our edge in the game, but that's still on the rails. We're thinking about it. Hey, the LJ Fighter says, I like the name change. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think it's about half and half. Half the people don't like it, half the people do like it. But we will still be the Wall Street skate bro all the time. Cat B says those palm trees are nice. Yeah, they are nice. I love these things. Matthew P says, hello, Tom, old chap. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening. Road Dog 41 says Warren Buffett has a Coca-Cola every day, and supposedly Bill Gates eats a Big Mac every day. So doesn't Warren Buffett also go through the drive-thru at McDonald's almost every day and gets like a sausage, egg, and cheese? QBiz says Donald Trump eats KFC all the time.
For sure, man. All right, hey, but you gotta stay in the Word of God, okay? Abide in the Word. What does Jesus say in John 8:31? I'll tell you. He said to the Jews that believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are my disciples indeed. Right? So what happened was that the Jews, they believed.
Bradley Wells says it's all marketing, homie. Agreed. John L says Warren has 6 cherry cokes a day. Jeez. The Austin Tenor says, what is for dinner tonight? I'm not too sure, Austin. What do you think? What do you think we should eat? Lupe says Tom eats 5 Guys once a day. Jeez. Maybe once a month. Jay Gator says there is a big need to connect the right talent with the businesses that desperately need them. I agree with that. Zero Tolerance says yes, you are on the island South Beach. John L says all the concentration on COVID when the biggest problem is obesity. Says John L.
Have you ever stolen anything?
QBiz says Cuban food. So I'm having Cuban food like every single day. So I may want to have something a little bit different. Optimus Prime says Berkshire Hathaway shares. A Sounding Six says they can afford the best doctors. George says, what's your opinion on dividends? So I think dividends are good, but one of the things that a lot of companies are exploring, God bless you, one of the things that companies are exploring right now is to cut back on paying out dividends to investors. And one of the reasons why they want to do that is because dividends are a taxable event. So if they can return value to shareholders a different way, for example, companies may want to start returning value to shareholders in the form of stock repurchase programs. And that's why you see a lot of these big tech companies, they don't pay dividends because number one, they invest all of their money in research and development. And number two, there's a better way to return value to shareholders that is much more tax efficient. And that is by issuing stock repurchases. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? Cynthia Beal, good to see you. So all of the taxi cabs in Miami, they look like the taxi cabs in New York City from the 1970s, 1980s. Dante Lewis says, hey, are you at Tampa, Florida? So we are not in Tampa, Florida. We are in Miami. Walking around South Beach and Lincoln Road. John L says, with your understanding of the market, you should start an investment consulting, sidelining a ton of money in Miami. Yeah, so I think over the long term, I do want to try to start an investment advisory firm or something like that, but I definitely need to keep my focus a little bit more narrowed. Obama says GE died buying back its stock. Absolutely they did. So there comes a time, and this has been a very, very controversial topic on Wall Street. Oh, look at this place. What they're saying is a lot of these companies are taking all of their free cash and just buying back their own stock because the vast majority of executive compensation is actually made up of stock options. So if you can buy back your own shares and thus pushing up the share price of your company, you know, C-level executives are going to be getting a handsome payout in their stock options almost on a yearly basis. So that is a good point. But if we look at the data right now, companies are still investing in research and development way more than they are doing stock buybacks. Hey, EBITDA is here, the one and only. Good to see you. Says, hey Tom, hope you're having a nice weekend. What is your thoughts on the crypto sell-off? EBITDA, Happy New Year, man. So one of the things we were writing about in the Behind the Street newsletter that's actually going to come out Sunday night, tomorrow night, one of the things that I'm concerned about in the crypto space is that Bitcoin has now breached its 200-day moving average. And why is the 200-day moving average extremely important to look at? Well, some of the greatest investors like Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller, they use the 200-day moving average as a guide for a long-term trend. So 9 times out of 10, so long as a specific equity or a cryptocurrency or even major commodities are holding above their 200-day moving average, their long-term trends are intact. We just broke below the 200-day moving average, so we have to watch and see if we can have Bitcoin break back above its 200-day. And usually if it stays below its 200-day for 2 weeks or more, the trend has conclusively changed to a downtrend. But good to see you, EBITDA. David says, do you think pharmaceutical companies are evil and no one should invest in them? I do not think pharmaceutical companies are evil. I think in every business segment you have unethical activities. NNB045 says, Tom, is the Fed coin going to be a reality anytime soon? So I've always held the notion that I truly believe that the Federal Reserve is going to issue its own currency, and potentially over time, the Federal Reserve will issue a currency that will expire. So I think that maybe 20 years down the line, the Fed will issue currency that you have to spend it by a certain date or else it will expire. So that's going to be an interesting topic to discuss. And I think we discussed that a little while ago on the stream. Yeah, so EBITDA, I think you make a good point. But for me, I use Bitcoin as an alternative investment because Bitcoin is an anti-debt unit, right? And I think that when you have a Federal Reserve and, you know, the US government printing so much money, I think it's always good to have exposure to things that are an anti-debt unit. So that could mean anything like gold, silver, and Bitcoin. So I just hold my Bitcoin. I don't actively trade it. Optimus Prime says, Tom, do you know about Martin Shkreli? Search about him. I know him very well, actually. Martin Shkreli went to Baruch College right here in New York City. And I think Martin Shkreli is very, very well misunderstood. But essentially, Martin Shkreli was in a very niche market. And what he did is he owned a rare disease drug company. So what he would do is he would go out into the marketplace and try to look for rare disease drugs that were very, very much out of date. Because if we think about the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, you know, if you go to like a Merck, a Pfizer, an AstraZeneca, you know, these companies aren't going to spend any of their money, you know, to assign research and development to a rare disease drug that only treats like 500 people a year. You know, they're going to go after the big payers, which would be anything like the allergy medicines, the Viagras and such, that a massive amount of people take, right? Because the total addressable market is really big. So what these rare disease drug companies do is they go in, they buy these drugs, and they spend all their money in research and development to make a new drug for these people. But what happens is you have to raise the price of the drug. So the price of the drug went up something like 14,000%. But in order for you to get a new drug, you need to raise the price so it can be profitable, so you can invest that money in research and development to make new drugs. It's very windy, so I'm not sure I'm going to explain it tonight. I'll explain it on a different stream. A lot of very nice cars out tonight. So since it's really windy, I'll explain the whole Martin Shkreli story on another stream. But we'll do that another time. But essentially the reason why Martin Shkreli is in jail is not because he raised the price of a life-saving drug. That's not the reason why. It's because he lied to his hedge fund investors and told them they made a bunch of money, when in actuality he was taking money from his drug company to pay off his hedge fund investors. And you cannot do that. That is a big, big, big no-no. Hey, Q-Biz's Lamborghini truck. Hey, Photos from around New York is here. What's up, Photos? Good to see you. The Austin Tennis says, I didn't realize that Miami was LGBTQ friendly. Yeah, I mean, Miami and Florida, Southern Florida in general, is very, very LGBTQ friendly. And so is New York City. I mean, in my opinion, everywhere I've traveled in the United States, everywhere is pretty much. I mean, it's 2022. It's not like this isn't 1960 or 1950 anymore. This is 2022. Ooh, this road looks pretty cool. But EBITDA, it's good to see you. I hope you had a great holiday. And I hope your 2022 is off to a great start. Photos from around New York, good to see you. Roy S is here, good to see you. RB says, good evening. What's up, RB? Theo Jetfighter says, yep. Road Dog 41 says he's a fraud. Martin Shkreli is a fraud like Bernie Madoff. So we'll get into Martin Shkreli another night. I think he's very misunderstood, and here's what I think happened to Martin Shkreli. I think he's a very cocky and arrogant person. And when you're a very cocky and arrogant person, you encourage people to come after you. And I think the SEC just made an example out of Martin Shkreli. They just made an example out of the kid because he was extremely, extremely arrogant. The Austin Tennis says, I sense a storm coming. It's supposed to storm like crazy here in Miami. It's supposed to rain, it's supposed to everything. Yeah, Photos from around New York says Salesforce clouds. They kind of look like Salesforce clouds, don't they? Hey, Zero Tolerance says, stay blessed, Tom. Enjoy your stay in Miami, Florida. Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for joining Zero Tolerance. Julian says, later, Tom, enjoy your night. Hey, thank you for joining, Julian. James Davidson says, hi Tom, nice and warm down there, how are you? So we are in South Beach and we just spent the last hour walking Lincoln Road and talking about the wearables market, more specifically Apple and remote patient monitoring technology. You know, I think because we stream so late, we usually stream at like 8:30 at night. There's not many people out, but it seems like there's a lot of people out tonight. Hey, Reality Check TV says it's always been LGBTQ friendly for a long time. Thank you for clearing that up. Greetings, enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Reality Check. Enjoy your weekend too. So this is Espanola Way. So I believe we'll walk down here because this is a very famous place here in Miami. Corey Anderson, how are you? Good to see you. Eddie says snow in New York, summer in Florida. Hey, Eddie. Gangsta Cats 23 says, Tom, will you ever head to Palm Beach? Oh, we will. We definitely will head back to Palm Beach sometime. Lupe says, Tom, how many frequent flyer miles do you have? Ooh, Lupe. I'm going to have to add that up, but I would assume a ton. Our friend EBITDA says, Tom, what sector/industry do you think will dominate in 2022? Also, what percentage do you think the market will finish this year, either up or down? Yeah, so EBITDA, I think the market's going to finish 8% higher for the year. However, what I will say is that I do believe that the first half of the year, the market will be down to flat. And the reason why I say that is because if we look at the data for midterm election years, during a midterm election cycle, which is what we are in now in 2022, the markets always are either flat or down. But I think semiconductors are going to continue to outperform this year, as well as consumer staples. But if you want to read a conclusive piece of information that I wrote, in last week's edition of the Behind the Street newsletter, I wrote about 3 key industry trends that I think will continue into 2022. So if you want to check out a free financial newsletter, if you type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, it'll drop a link where you can read all about the Behind the Street newsletter. James Davidson says, Tom, when are you coming back to New York? So we should be coming back the last week of January, but I think I'm going to try to reschedule a lot of my meetings for the last week of January to mid-February. Espanola Way is definitely a lot more packed since the last time we came here, for sure. Cosmo says, wow, it's beautiful down there. I really like the ambience of this place. I think I'm gonna come to eat here one night. Lupe says, New York in January is brutal, Tom. Stay in Miami. I'm trying to. Hey, Destiny 11 says, hey, Tom, what do you think of Ford stock? So I think out of any of the autos besides Tesla, I think GM is the most relatively well valued. And we actually did an entire stream, I think 5 months ago, outlining a bull thesis on GM, General Motors. Hey, Chayos is happy to meet you from Japan. Welcome everybody from Japan. Wow, it is beautiful here, everybody. Hey, Laytha. Lillian Gonzalez says, why are people not wearing masks? Well, I think the majority of people here are eating, so they're consuming food. And it may be a little bit difficult to consume food with a mask on. But when you're walking around or inside, everybody has a mask. I have mine right here. Yeah, James Davidson says, reminds me a little bit of New York. So James, a couple nights ago we were in Brickell, and Brickell really reminded me of New York a lot. Ireva says, how could you eat with a mask? I know. Deborah S says, outdoors seem relaxing. Laytha, it's good to see you. Cat B says, I don't see many children in Miami. Is this mainly a city for single people? Well, I think the nightlife, I don't think many people take the kids out like for nightlife. Hi, Revis, good to see you. Q-Biz says, oh my God, this is literally the first time I've ever spotted a piece of trash on the ground in Miami. Yeah, Miami is definitely a very clean city. Laytha says, Tom, you just got out just in time. Winter has arrived in Manhattan and in the Northeast. I know. So the city just got hit with some snow. But then again, I actually don't mind the first couple snowfalls in Manhattan. I think it actually looks quite nice. But after a couple months, it definitely gets a little bit old. Cynthia Martinez says, I wouldn't raise children in Miami, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things that I've heard about Miami, say they have to send their kids to private schools because a lot of the public schools are not as good. NG is here, says, hello. Channel was called Wall Street Skate. Yeah, Jimmy, so we did change the name of the channel. So this is the Wall Street Skate Bro channel, but we did just do a little bit of a name change. Good to see you. James Davidson says, Tom, this is where Scarface was filmed. I did not know that. Do you guys know I've never even seen Scarface? Did you know that? Laytha says, South Beach is for single people. Laytha, how's your weekend going so far? So these are my favorite kind of palm trees. Yeah, I can't really comment on like public education here because I'm a little bit ignorant in terms of all that. I don't know much about school budgets and things like that. I'm a little bit oblivious. So I apologize if I cannot put a little bit more clarity on that. It is definitely not my area of expertise at all. I really like the styles of these buildings. What is it called? Is it like the Spanish Art Deco? I know Ruby is so surprised I haven't seen Scarface, but I haven't been a big movie guy. I'm not a big movie guy. Carolina Tom says, Tom, a weekend night in Coconut Grove is a must-do when you get a chance. So, Carolina Tom, I think you're right. The top 3 places that people have been recommending me to visit in Florida has been Key West, Fort Lauderdale, well, Naples, Florida too. A lot of people have been recommending. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, what kind of bus do you take home? Is it express? I don't think it goes express on the weekends, but it takes about 30 minutes to get home. Eddie, it's good to see you. Q-Biz says, it's so funny, look at South Beach in Scarface compared to now. SL says, is the Clevelander still there? Say hello to my little friend. I am not sure. I don't really know anything about the buildings or the geography. I'm still learning. So the Austin Tennis, give us a little bit of clarity about, you know, what you're doing at PagerDuty. Do you like the job? Are you enjoying it so far? So everybody, the Austin Tennis is a member of the channel that was a former investment banker that is actually making the transition over to enterprise software sales. And that seems to be a very popular transition. So a lot of my friends who work in tech try to transition to investment banking. And a lot of my friends that are in investment banking, they try to transfer over to tech sales. San Miguel says this is Colombian music. So I think this is a very, very famous Cuban place here, Havana 1957. Hey, Mets fan is here. What's up, Mets fan? Good to see you. Hope you're well. Yeah, somebody says, look, AOC. Funny. Hey, the Austin Tennis says, PagerDuty is a great company. In addition to the best product in the incident response space, everybody at the company truly seems to live and breathe PagerDuty. Well, that's good. Hey, Marilyn is just signing in to say hello. What's up, Marilyn? So Marilyn, we are in South Beach, Miami, Florida tonight. We just walked Lincoln Road as well as Espanola Way. And the topic of tonight is we were talking about the wearables market, more specifically the Apple Watch and how they could break into and expand their total addressable market in healthcare. So has anybody been to Havana 1957? Supposedly it is a very famous and popular restaurant. Cat B says, I think Miami is calling my name. Hey, San Miguel, thank you so much for the $5 donations. Thanks, Tom. Fun and instructive walk. Thank you, San Miguel. Appreciate you very much. Noel says, have you discovered Cuban coffee yet? So I have, but I'm not a big fan of Cuban coffee because I don't really like sugar. I don't really like sweet things in my coffee, but I think it'll grow on me for sure. Andre says, I'm sitting here. Very cool. Interesting. Everybody, we are passing the greatest burger place in the world, Five Guys, that is much better than, I can't even remember the names of any other burger place just because Five Guys is so good. Hey, Aramis Addict is here. Says we ordered takeout from there. Hey, so how are you liking Miami? So I'm loving it so far. I just moved to North Miami Beach. So Aramis Addict, maybe I'll run into you one of these days here in the streets of Miami, Florida. Ooh, somebody says Shake Shack. Shake Shack, big thumbs down. 2 thumbs down for Shake Shack. Out and About. I didn't know you were a Shake Shack lover. I thought Out and About was on Team Five Guys. Yeah, San Miguel says Cuban coffee can also be really, really strong. So you know what? I think we'll turn around and head south because I do want to see the ocean before we head back up. Aramis Addict says, I miss New York City. Shake Shack is better than Lincoln Road. One is yummy. I like this mural here on the wall. Marilyn says, hey Tom, it's cold up here in New York. Good time to be in Florida. Yes, so Maryland, it was about 77 degrees today and bright sun, but starting tonight at midnight, it's supposed to be crazy rain. It's going to rain pretty much all day tomorrow. Pretty much all day tomorrow. Cosmo Scary says, are you going to stream in the rain? Hopefully not. Because Cosmo, when it rains here in Miami, it's not like New York. It's like a hurricane here. It's insane. So we are crossing 15th Street right here. And we are going to head down to the main location in South Beach. Cubis says, I'm surprised there's not a White Castle. Well, there's a lot of White Castles on Long Island. Aramis Addict says, we are trying to buy a place in South Beach, but are experiencing some hiccups. Yeah, I mean, the housing market is and the rental market specifically is still really, really crazy here in southern Florida. Yeah, Road Dog 41 says 10-minute hurricane in Florida. Yeah, we will be going to the water tonight. Ken Kramer says White Castle is kangaroo meat. Yikes. Natasha's here. What's up, Natasha? Good to see you. Natasha says Burger 21 in Florida is the best. So I'm not sure if anybody remembers the streams from about 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago we were streaming here and there was not even nearly as many people as there are now. And I think it's because there's a lot of snowbirds that are coming down from New York and from Boston. Somebody says, can we do one more lap around Espanola Way? Sure. Let's see. All right, what do you guys think? Should we do one more lap around Espanola Way, or do you want to head to the beach? The Austin Tennis is Tom. Just curious. I remember a while back you expressed interest in becoming an enterprise account executive at Snowflake. If you were to go back and work at that company, why Snowflake in particular? Because I really, really believe in that company. And I think they have the highest pay on the market. Everybody says beach. All right, we'll go to the beach. They have the highest pay on the market. I think a starting salary for an enterprise account executive at Snowflake is probably $150 to $175. And then you could probably double that with your commission. Hey, Juan Vargas is here. What's up, Juan? All right, we'll go to the beach. We just have to wait for the light to change here. Jimmy says banking is the best. Dysfunctional fun, 100%. Cynthia Beal says, do we have flashlights so we can see the water? So I think if we go all the way down to the very main portion of South Beach, we'll be able to see the water because there's so many lights. Hey, Ian is here, says, hey Tom, happy Saturday. Thank you, Ian. Happy Saturday to you as well. Hey, Mets fan 1023 says, swing trader here. Good to see you. Roy S says, now Tom finally finds his new question. In New York City, usually he will ask whether Empire State Building or Central Park. Yeah, I know. So that'll be the Florida question. Should we go to the beach now, or should we take another lap around Espanola Way? Aaron says the sociology degree is less marketable. Marilyn says, you mentioned that you paid $59 a flight from New York to Miami. Is this right? How and what did you book your flights? Yes, so Marilyn, I actually pay $49, $49. So if you go to kayak.com, you'll be able to find the best prices. And I usually either fly Delta or JetBlue, sometimes American. Aaron Prill says, I can't find a job, graduated 2 years ago. So Aaron, I would spend all of my time applying to account executive positions at major software companies. They're hiring like crazy and you're gonna land a job in no time. and it's going to be extremely, extremely lucrative for you, and you're going to be able to experience a lot of new ideas, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. Oh, this is cool. What is this, like a pool hall, I think? Very cool. Yeah, Cynthia Martinez says networking goes a long way. Networking is extremely important. So this is the Palm Royal. I think this is a major or a very famous hotel here. All right, everybody, to the beach we go. We are here on Collins Avenue. Hey, George says, hello, Vice City. Hey, could we get a quick time check in the chat? I apologize. You know what's funny? We've been spending all night talking about the Apple Watch. And ironically, I need to ask the viewers what time it is. It's kind of crazy. Tortellini, I have no thoughts on that. Alan Wilson says 8:21 p.m. Wow. I'm so used to asking for the time and everybody's like, oh, it's 11:59, it's midnight, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's kind of interesting that we started streaming so early. So everybody, I'll ask you guys, what do you like better? Do you like an earlier stream or do you like the later streams? Because I'm trying to figure out a stream schedule and I may try to stream it around 6:30 or 7 p.m. as opposed to the 9 o'clock at night that we're used to. Blade Runner says, does it matter where you set up your business? I think I can't really advise on that. It really just depends on tax liability, what your business is. You know, if your business is a lot of customer facing, if you're in construction, there's better setups for different liability issues, things like that. I'm hearing a lot of different people say later, earlier, later, earlier. This place looks cool.
I'm wearing a blue and white
jacket. Earlier streams. Latha says it depends on where you are. New York late is better, fewer people are out. That's a good point, Latha. Cat Beast is earlier streams. Well, we'll try. I think it just depends on when I get out of work. Ian is here. What's up, Ian? What's up, Cat B? Juan Vargas is here. So everybody rides around Miami on these little mopeds here. Almost everybody. Wee Wee says cool Miami live. Mets fan 1023 says Tom, earlier stream says I need to get to bed. Funny. Yeah, I think we're gonna try to stream a little bit earlier. We'll see. Ken says, good evening, Tom. Hey, what's up, Ken? Ken is joining us from Melville, New York, on Long Island. I actually used to have an office in Melville, right there off of the North Service Road. Cat B says, if I lived down there, I'd get an electric moped myself. Ed says earlier it's 2:24 a.m. in Switzerland. Wow. Well, thank you to all of our Swiss viewers that are joining. Appreciate it. So we are on Collins Avenue and 13th Street, I believe, headed south. One thing about the beach, it's gonna get really windy. Tortellini says it looks cold. It's getting a little bit more chilly, a little bit way windy. Yeah, Ian, I don't have a mic yet, so I apologize. I was gonna get an adapter for my mic tonight, but the Apple store was closed. I think we're gonna have to head inland because it is way too windy. Yeah, I know. I think it may look windy because it's cold. It's really, I think it may look cold because it's windy. It's crazy wind tonight. Whew, man. Wants to go to the beach. Well, the beach is right here, everybody. But I think if we walk to the beach, we may not be able to see the water, and I think we're gonna get blown away by the wind. Ireva says, does the ocean smell good? It smells really good down here. I forget that they closed this road, so there's no cars or anything. So it's just all people that could walk up and down. Jet Life says, is the beach 24/7? I'm not sure about that. I think the beach does close. Shot by Scott. I know, Mets fan. So usually right now it's fine, but once it hits March, the spring breakers, they're down here and it is crazy for the spring break. I'm not a big fan of South Beach in general, but during spring break, it's crazy. The Swan says, I love the stormy beach. Blow the head off of you. Lay this as a little sandblasting is good for the skin. Hey, Techno Pink is here. Techno Pink is from the Dominican Republic. Welcome, Techno Pink. There's a lot of people today. So Techno Pink is our pal from the Dominican Republic that works for Ernst & Young, a big consulting company. So you could think about Ernst & Young, Deloitte, KPMG, all the big consulting firms, management consulting.
Yeah, we need two more, please.
Kenny Powell says, was here in September staying at the hotel next to the restaurant. It's amazing, and the crowds today is pretty low compared to summer and spring breaks. I think you're right. I think if you're gonna come to South Beach, I think the best time to come is right now, because during spring break, this place is really, really hectic. And I think last year it was pretty dangerous too. I think we have My Food Card Argentina says, go to the Library Restro on Washington and 13th. Messi's. Bro, what's going on? The Swan says, I love watching people enjoying themselves. So the Swan, how is the lockdown situation in Ireland? Is it still locked down, or is it sort of opening back up? I'm not too sure what the quietest beach in southern Florida is. Sunny Isles Beach is really nice. You know, we'll do the beach tomorrow because I'm not going to be able to breathe if it's not raining. We'll see. Cat Beast says, I don't like watching people enjoying themselves. I want to enjoy Miami myself. Well, you got to come down. Check this out. D. Wood says, should short selling be banned? No, it should not. Yeah, it looks like a little ball in between those two buildings. It was a little weird. I'm not sure what that was. Yeah, Cynthia Beals is like a giant egg. Definitely a lot less wind here, for sure. Shot by Scott says, Google the Betsy Orb. It's a very popular sculpture. CP says, cool night. What's up, CP? How you doing? Out and About says, that was the art installation I was trying to get you to check out. It's called The Orb. Very cool. So we'll head down here and then we'll make a right because I have to get the bus anyway. So we will maybe do one more lap around. I want to check out that Española Way one more time. Photos from around New York says it connects 2 historic hotels via a passageway. Oh, is that really a passageway? That's amazing. I didn't know that. Hey, Rusty says, loves your streams. Keep them coming. Thank you, Rusty. Thank you for being here. Mets fans has vlogged the bus. I don't think we'll be able to do that. Yeah. Tortellini says, Tom, are you wearing flip-flops and shorts? I am not. I'm wearing shorts, but not flip-flops. I'm not the biggest fan of flip-flops, to be honest. Laytha, no, she is not, unfortunately. Hopefully soon, once the COVID thing dies down. But it's very difficult because international travel still requires a quarantine, unfortunately. But we'll see. Ooh, look at this, the floor here. It's like all colorful tiles. Pretty cool. Yeah, San Miguel says I don't like flip-flops either. Yeah, I'm not a fan, not a big fan. So I think once we get the skateboard back, this is going to be a great place to skate around for sure. Just because it's so flat and the roads are a little bit better than they are in New York. Hey, Justin B. Yes, I saw that. James and Carla will be there in Miami. Hey, Bitsmag TV says, good evening, everybody from Rio de Janeiro. I love South Beach. Welcome, everybody from Brazil. I hope you're well.
There's nothing you can do to me to make me go.
Cat Beast says, are there any bike pads there? Yeah, there's a ton of bike pads and a ton of places to skateboard, so I'm definitely excited about that. I'll actually show you guys a main bike path right here. And they're all cut off from the street, which is good. So it makes it a little bit safer for bikers. Yeah, Mets fan says the Miami nightlife isn't my scene, but I do like the weather. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like partying, but stuff like this is nice. But I'm definitely not a fan of clubs or partying or anything like that. San Miguel says, didn't know they had bike lanes. Kenda Roberts says, Tom, was 2021 your first year living in Florida? It was. So it was my first year living in Miami. But I will be back and forth between New York City and Miami. So I'm going to split my time about 50-50. The Swan says, Tom, do you feel safer when there's crowds around early or later on? I think I'm indifferent about it. I'm not sure if I feel safer or less safe when there's more or less crowds. It's a good question though. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, where do you get the cheap flights? Ooh, look at that guy. So I use kayak.com. Yeah, so check out kayak.com. Kayak always has very affordable flights. Hey, Sierra friend is here. Says, hey, Tom. What's up, Sierra? We are here in South Beach on Espanola Way. And previously we were walking around Lincoln Road. Hope you're having a good weekend so far. Vlado says, is the seawater warm enough already to enjoy? So in Miami, you could go swimming all year round. Although, you know, in New York City, there are people that go swimming all year round in New York, which is kind of crazy. I believe they do the polar bear plunge. Aramis Addict says Delta is my favorite. Delta is my favorite as well. Cappy says, Tom, are you Italian? I am Italian. I am 50-50 Irish and Italian. Marilyn says 500 watching. Let's hit the like button. Appreciate it. Thank you. Jimmy says, please try pizza de latkes. Cynthia Martinez says, oof, Irish coffee. Yeah, I personally don't drink alcohol, but that is definitely very, very popular. Drink Irish coffee. Shop by Scott says Espanola Way has fantastic dining for the South Beach area. Actual authentic dining. San Miguel's is their Irish coffee. So Irish coffee has alcohol in the coffee. That's essentially what it is. Blade Runner says, I have a friend from Riobamba. Hey, John says, does this go on all night? So I would assume these businesses probably close at around midnight or 1 a.m. The Swan says, I'm going to save up all year long to go to Miami this time next year. The cold is killing me here in Ireland. So I'm definitely very lucky to be able to come down here during the winter. Blade Runner, Southern Florida. Yeah, Blade Runner, it's been like that for a while, surprisingly. A lot of New Yorkers always come down to Southern Florida, especially during the winter. This is kind of cool. I've never seen this before. Swan says, Tom, wave your handkerchief. Well, that was kind of cool. I hope you all enjoyed that. Obama says Steelers fans. Ah, Marie O says they're celebrating a birthday. Hermes Addict says I'm here for it. GGNYC says so cool. So I wonder if they do that every time somebody's celebrating a birthday. I know, Carol H. Isn't that crazy? I know, Lathos is napkin dance. Hey, Frank Gonzalez says, Tom, I believe you won't be driving to Key West in case you start a stream from Duval Street. So buses run daily on a luxury motor coach every day from 6:30 a.m. from Collins Avenue. Hey, thank you for that, Frank. I did not know that at all. Maybe we'll have to do that one day. We'll definitely have to do that one day. Cat Beast is crazy, it's a good time. Hey. Marie O says, Tom, yes, it's very Italian. I have quite a few native Italian friends. Very cool. All right, so we're gonna head back up to Lincoln Road. Where we will get the bus. Yeah, Mets fan, that's funny. It does look like the Salesforce clouds. I think photos from around New York said that too. The Austin Tennis says, you're telling me your family didn't do that for your birthday, Tom. Unfortunately not. Unfortunately, I never had that grandiose welcome for my birthday. Obama says, Tom, what about a jet boat in Miami? So you know what? One of my friends was telling me that, I think it's called the, I'm going to butcher the name, but I think it's the Helendale or the Hollandale Inlet here in Miami, where a lot of boats get capsized because the waves are so large. Did anybody hear about that? I think it's like an inlet where many boaters try to go through, and a lot of them actually start to sink because they don't know how to maneuver the waves. Ah, yes, Shot by Scott, you're right, the Haulover Inlet. So if you want to watch a couple of crazy YouTube videos, go ahead and search the Haulover Inlet. That is insane. One of my good friends showed that to me today. And when he comes to Miami, he wants to come down and check it out. And here we are passing Cosmo Scary's Lambo. Cosmo is here from New York City for the week. We let him park his Lamborghini there. Yeah, Kelly says the weather is so dry here now. But let's not speak too soon because tomorrow is supposed to rain like crazy here in Miami. Really crazy. Yeah, Shot by Scott says the boats get hammered going in and out. And I don't know what causes that, because every time I go to the water or go to the beach here in southern Florida, the waves are, it's not as big as New York. So maybe it's just because the way the waves break on the inlet tends to sink a lot of the boats. Kelly says, will the rain bring humidity? So usually Miami's humid season is in the summer. So it is extremely, extremely hot and humid in the summer here. Yeah, Shot by Scott says, Tom, don't give these weather folks much credit. If they say tomorrow, it's either Tuesday or it never comes. That's funny. You know, Scott, it's almost like the same thing in New York too. Every time I check the weather, I'm like, should I bring the umbrella? Should I not? So I just default bring the umbrella every time. Well, you know what they say, weathermen and economists are the only people that can be consistently wrong and still keep their jobs. So if you want a stable job on Wall Street, become an economist for a major investment bank. You could be wrong all the time. San Miguel says Miami summer is the most humid. Pretty cool. Yeah, Cool Aunt 516 says I keep an umbrella in my car at all times. I now keep an umbrella in my backpack at all times. Hey, Ken says just looked it up. Haulover Inlet. Haulover Inlet is rough because it's an outgoing tide combined with an incoming swell. When those things meet, the waves get big. Thank you for that clarification. The Austin Tennis says, are you still working mostly out of the WeWork offices? So now I'm working mostly out of my house. But when I do go to New York City, sometimes I'll go to offices and things like that. Hey, Ann is here. Says hi, everybody. What's up, Ann? Good to see you. What about you, the Austin Tennis? You said that you're mostly remote, but you do have an employee working in New York City for pager duty. Ooh, here comes the wind again. So I believe we are once again coming up on Lincoln Road. Shot by Scott says, Tom, can you get us into the WeWork in Wynwood? Maybe. We'll have to check it out. So one of the things I just wanted to touch on briefly before we end the stream here in a little bit, we were talking about connected devices and, you know, smartwatches via Apple and how it could break into the healthcare industry. But I think one of the main questions has been, you know, at what point do these technology companies start being pure play or being characterized as pure play medical device technology companies, in which case they have to get FDA approvals. So one of the companies being Owlet, and the ticker symbol is OWLT, and it makes a product called Owlet Smart Sock that allows patients to remotely monitor heart rate and blood oxygen levels. And they actually received a notice from the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, that it has to cease and desist selling their product because it is not met FDA approval processes. But even though it's just a tech company, so they're trying to go through appeals, but Apple has actually been proactive in saying that their Apple Watch is only meant to be used for generalized healthcare purposes. But I think as the technology grows, I think Apple will have to start garnering FDA approval for some of their more advanced technologies. But I think that is going to open up a gateway for them to seriously expand their total addressable market. San Miguel says, Tom, you think healthcare tech under FDA approval is a good long-term investment? Well, I'm not sure about that. I think the only thing that I'm saying is it's going to be really interesting to find out how the FDA is going to take this into consideration over the next coming couple of years. Because at some point, this technology is going to be so advanced that it's going to be just as good as some of the traditional medical products out there. Leida says it sounds like a pulse ox device. Yeah. So essentially, the sock can remotely monitor like an infant's heartbeat, right? So it's supposed to be made for like infant babies. So parents will be able to remotely monitor their infant's heart rate, their oxygen levels, and their sleep trends. But the thing is, Owlet ran into an issue that all makers of digital health devices face all the time and going to be increasingly face all the time. And that is, at what point do these gadgets become medical device companies that require FDA approval for their products? Right, so I still think Owlet is allowed to sell their products in other countries, but in the United States, I think they had to disband all of their sales, which is kind of crazy. Hey James, good night. Thank you for joining. Cat Beast says, why do parents need to monitor that? Insane. Well, I mean, I think it's a lot of parents are paranoid, so they want to be able to monitor, you know, their children when they're sleeping, you know, to make sure they don't have breathing issues or things like that. So I think overall it's a positive. Yeah, Tortellini says, I hate hearing my heartbeat. Charlie Richardson says, would that product be considered an Internet of Things device or IoT device? Well, it's very possible. I think that is going to be one segment in the technology space that is really going to expand over the next couple of years, is IoT, or the Internet of Things. And I think as 5G networks really roll out, I think you're going to be able to see real-world use cases for these type of devices. Cat Beast says, I have 2 kids and I didn't have that. I think these parents potentially have mental issues. Yeah, I mean, I think parents want to be able to monitor their kids and see if their health is all right, you know? Hey, that guy had a Bodega Cats shirt on. That is a very popular page in New York City. The Austin Tennis says, Tom, are you a Mac or a PC guy? I am a Mac guy for sure. What about you, Austin Tennis? I actually just got a new Mac through the Apple recycling program. Hey, Thrasis says, nice palm trees. Hey, I see Disney cast member here. How are you, Disney? Good to see you. Disney cast member says, I think if I had one child that died of SIDS, I would want to monitor my next infant. Yeah, Disney cast member, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a very good idea. But the problem is, I think the FDA is saying technology is increasing at such a fast pace that should pure play technology companies be allowed to go to market with products that are essentially now medical device products. So I think it's going to be a big litigation nightmare over the next couple of years. But Apple has actually done a good job with proactively overcoming those objections. The Austin Tennis says, you got to give me some of your Mac tips. I was a PC guy up until PagerDuty uses Mac. That's interesting. I would not think PagerDuty would be a Mac shop at all. It's pretty interesting. Did not think that. John says, and what did you do with your old Mac, Tom? So I recycled it. So I always, every time I'm gonna upgrade one of my old Macs or Apple products, I always use that Apple recycling program, in which case you'll get a severe discount on your new equipment if you just trade your old one in. And I think it's probably a little bit better for the environment too. NNB045 is here. What's up, NNB045? Good to see you. Says this part looks like Dubai. Have you been to Dubai, NNB045? Ooh, Cynthia. That's not good. Cynthia, what part of Miami do you live in? They have to worry about that. Hey, War Walker is here. What's up, War Walker? Good to see you as always. War Walker is joining us from the 305 in Miami. He says, hi, Tomcat. I'm late to the party. How is everybody doing tonight? I'm doing really well. Doing really well. Hope you're doing well too. Eddie says, I love the Dubai fountains. Joshua Lopez says, hello, Tom. What's up, Joshua? Good to see you. NNB045 says, no, but I've seen some Dubai tours on YouTube. I think that would be a pretty interesting place to go check out. Cynthia Martinez says, close to Little Havana. Check out these dogs. Those are really nice. So everybody, just a quick announcement for the channel. So I am beta testing the 24-hour live stream, which will be continuously streaming New York City skateboarding videos 24/7, 365. I did just take it down before I went live today, but tonight I will be putting it back up on a different virtual cloud server. So if you see any notifications, don't be alarmed. I'm just beta testing. You guys think I should get one of these skateboards with the Campbell's tomato soup? So the Austin Tennis says, what is wrong with the Oracle Cloud server? So there's nothing wrong with the Oracle Cloud server. I'm just gonna try a bunch of different services. Hey, Bitsmag TV says, please make a tour of Wynwood. We are. That is in the works. And I may have my buddy Shot by Scott help me out with that to show us around, because Shot by Scott, if you guys see him in the chat, he is a very well-known photographer here in Miami-Dade County, which oftentimes he goes to Wynwood and takes photos and things like that. War Walker says, ooh, you're on Lincoln Road. Did you eat dinner yet? So I'm gonna have a late dinner. I think I'm gonna eat dinner once I stop streaming. But I wanted to do a little bit earlier live stream tonight because I do have to I do have to get to work late tonight. I'll be working to the wee hours of the morning. So I think we just passed this same restaurant a couple blocks down. Havana 1957. Hey, Justin B says, me and my dog ordered a pizza and are hanging at home. Needed some entertainment while we eat and turned you on. Hey, Justin B, thank you. Well, enjoy your pizza and enjoy your dog. Appreciate it very much. Hey, Kel Sonic says, hi, Tom, love the stream. What's up, Kel? Good to see you. Thank you for the kind words. Charlie Richardson says, you are a very hard worker. So are you, Charlie. Sally says, amazing stream, Tom. Thank you. If you guys enjoyed the stream, feel free to leave a like on the stream. It helps the channel out immensely. And I will be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter to everybody who signed up for it tomorrow. So if you want to sign up for a free financial newsletter that is written by myself, it will be in the link in the description, or you could type !news in the chat. Hey, Santo A says, looks beautiful tonight. What's up, Santo A? Happy Saturday. NMB045 says, working overnight. Yeah, so I'm nothing to do with work for my actual work, but I'm just going to be beta testing some things for the stream, for the channel, and maybe doing some things, trading or coding some trading bots, just something for fun, a side product. Lewis's Torre says, hello, welcome Torre, good to see you. I think this piece of art is what, from The Great Gatsby? Santo A says, love your streams. Thank you, Santo. I think that's a boxing glove. Ah, Shot by Scott says, isn't that the Wolf of Wall Street? So it is the Wolf of Wall Street, but I think he also played a role in The Great Gatsby, didn't he? Or I could be wrong. I'm not too sure about that. Oh, Ruby, it's, hold on. There you go. Stargazer says, yeah, it's The Great Gatsby. They do kind of look similar, though, the movies, because they're both about partying.